This is the Side Hustle Show with Nick Loper, episode 58, behind the scenes of my 20,000 download Kindle launch.
Welcome to the Side Hustle Show, where aspiring part-time entrepreneurs learn how to turn their side hustle dreams into reality. Because your 9 to 5 may make you a living, but your 5 to 9 makes you alive. And now, your host, Nick Loper.
Hey everybody, Nick Loper here. Welcome to the Side Hustle Show, coming at you with a special Friday edition of the podcast. This is a solo show. It's just me. I want to talk to you about my recent Kindle launch for the book project Work Smarter that ended up generating over 20,000 free downloads. I want to talk about the tactics, takeaways, and results from that launch, kind of in the pre-launch phase, the creation stage, what went on during launch week, my marketing tactics and strategies, as well as the transition from free to paid. And during that time, the book has earned close to $1,000 and probably will surpass $1,000 in royalties by the time this episode airs. So I wanted to just kind of break this all down for you and kind of go through what worked, what didn't work, and what I might try and improve on next time, or how you can to kind of apply these same things to your book launches if you want to go down that path. And this would be a perfect time to note that I didn't have any particular expertise or qualifications to write this book. It just was a collection of different resources that other people had named, and I compiled them together. The value is in the curation rather than the expert status of the author in this case. So this book actually started out as a blog post idea. And the text, as it kind of grew past 10,000 words, which would be 10 times the length of a typical blog post, and I figured this is going to be a completely different animal. I figured it would be better suited to a book format. It actually ended up being around 20,000 words in total. So the project, if you're not familiar, it's at worksmarter.co, worksmarter.co. It was all about the online tools and resources that today's top entrepreneurs are using to get their work done. And so I'm always excited to learn about new tools, and I know other people feel the same way. So this book is about kind of the joy of discovery, of something that can make your life easier, the apps, the software, the tools, it can make your life easier, more efficient, and that's what Work Smarter intended to do. And based on that feedback it did, the book has 63 5-star reviews, and if you missed it, I guarantee you'll find something new, novel, and useful among the 350 plus resources that are named in there, or your money back. That's my guarantee. So here's some hard numbers I want to share from the launch. So during the launch week, gave away over 20,000 copies, 20,215 free downloads, over 550 contributors, named resources for the book. It's generated 722 paid downloads so far. I'm at $835 in royalties in the first 2 weeks after switching from free to paid. And I expect that, it's consistently making sales every day. So like I said, I can expect that to continue to increase as the days go by. Now, to support the launch, I sent out 413 individual emails to the different contributors, and that email campaign generated a 44% response rate, and actually generated a bunch of social media sharing, which I'll get to in a minute as well. 378 unique resources were shared, and 300 and the book launch generated 334 new email subscribers for Side Hustle Nation. I got 580 visitors or 580 readers to click on the call to action in the first week, and those people converted at 57% from the landing page. So that probably could have been improved a little bit given the sheer volume of downloads, but I was really happy with that. I was happy with that volume of new subscribers, because that's a big percentage of my list. In total, the book had around $208 in production costs, and a lot of that was actually free to me with a virtual assistant service. I'm going to get into that in a minute. Generated a couple hundred retweets and a social reach in the hundreds of thousands. Some of the people that retweeted had a massive following, including Chris Ducker, Jay Bear, Sean Malarkey, some really high-profile Twitter accounts, were sharing this in the week it came out. So it was really cool stuff. I'll show you how I generated $108 in affiliate commissions from giving away a free book, and I'll walk through the 79 fancy hands requests that I used to kind of build the foundation of the book itself. So let's get into this. I should add that it wasn't all rainbows and unicorns as well, because I'll share why I changed the title mid-launch or mid-week, what I could have done better on social media, and how actually the first 17,000 readers who got a copy accidentally got a hard-to-navigate version of the book due to some formatting mistake on my end on the Kindle that I messed up. So let's get into it. So the first stage is the pre-launch stage. And like every project, it starts with an idea. And in this case, my idea was to compile a list of entrepreneurs' favorite online resources. And I knew from listening to John Lee Dumas that the Entrepreneur on Fire show notes archive would be an excellent place to start, because at the end of every show, John asks his guests that very question during the lightning round. Do you have an internet resource like an Evernote you're absolutely in love with? And sure enough, guests, give an answer. I thought the resulting list would make a pretty epic, like I said, I hope this would be a viral blog post, but it quickly became much bigger than that. So I added in a few dozen contributors from my own network, and in total, 559 entrepreneurs named 378 unique resources for the book. And again, like I had said, no unique expertise. Anybody could have taken on the same project and probably gotten the same or better results. And I bring that up because I'm certain there are other similar opportunities out there, and that's what I want to get you excited about, rather than just to brag about my launch, and see how you can apply these same tactics to whatever book you want to create, whatever product you want to create, and what kind of hopefully passive income asset you want to create for weeks, months, possibly years down the road. Okay, so for the actual writing of the book, it began with this data collection. To gather the data, I had a virtual assistant service called Fancy Hands comb through the Entrepreneur on Fire show notes archive to collect all the online resources that have been named in the 500 plus episodes that were live at the time of the show. Now it's over 600. So I'm already looking forward to, the 2015, version 2.0 of the book. What they did, they added the tools along with the contributors' names into Google Docs spreadsheet. And I think now would be a good time to bring up too that even though this is public information, I still made sure to ask for John and Kate's blessing before launching this project, or before launching the book. So I relied heavily on Fancy Hands to build the foundation for Work Smarter. And this was just the start of everything they did. If you're not familiar with them, their service is $45 a month for 15-minute tasks. So I upgraded to the super premium plan, or the premium plan that included 25 tasks for $65. And then when I ran out of those tasks, I upgraded to a super kind of secret, super premium option that was 50 tasks for $130. Because the tasks are limited to 15 minutes, it actually took several requests to complete each job. For example, with the spreadsheets, it was, can you go through rows 1 through 50, or, we just do as many as you can in 15 minutes, and then, we'll pass it on to the next guy. And so the next guy will start at row 73, and, he'll take it from there, 15 minutes, and then on and on like that. So Fancy Hands, aside from gathering, kind of building the foundation, building that original spreadsheet list of the contributors and the resources, they helped categorize all the tools. They found descriptions and links for everything. They found the pricing information. They translated all of that spreadsheet data into sentence and paragraph form, also in Google Docs. And it would be cool to say that a virtual assistant service wrote the whole book for me, but that would really be a stretch. It still took a couple weeks of my own time, adding my own content, formatting, and editing before I was really comfortable calling it complete. And so, but for this, for kind of this structural portion of the project, it took about 46 tasks, which had a cost, amortized out of $119. But here's the cool part. I actually have several months worth of Fancy Hands credit in the bank for referring other users to their service, and they wouldn't let me cash it out. So the service is essentially free to me. So that was kind of cool. Now, another part of my pre-launch strategy was a consultation with a product launch expert. I talked to Pat Romaine. She's at patromaine.com. The first thing she asked me to do was to clarify my goals of the launch. And I replied that the project had two major goals. Number one was capture emails during this free launch phase. I kind of knew I wanted to do the whole, free Kindle Select promo, whatever it was, during the initial launch. And the second goal is to generate enough momentum that paid sales carried on after the free promo ended. Like I said, I was hoping to build this into a passive income asset. It was an experiment. We'll see what happens. Maybe this can earn some royalty income down the road. So on the collecting email front, Amazon does not share their customer information with you. It's probably the biggest downside of their platform. So even if the book generated thousands and thousands of downloads, I'd have no way to communicate or follow up with those readers. So to combat that, I offered a free bonus in the book and link directly to a dedicated landing page. You can check it out if you want. It's at sidehustlenation.com/free. sidehustlenation.com/free was the landing page I directed people to. And I gave away a bonus ebook called 53 Takeaways from the World's Best Business Books. It was something that I'd already had created, and I thought it had a broad enough appeal to kind of perform well to whoever might be downloading, whoever might be reading the Work Smarter book. So I included the offer 3 times in the book. Once at the beginning, once in context in the middle, and kind of once at the very end. In the middle, the context was something related to, executive book summaries was a resource that somebody named. Oh, by the way, if you'd like to grab, my 53 takeaways from the world's best business books, click here and grab it for free. So before the launch, there was some pre-work involved too. So I also spent some time building out an autoresponder sequence in Aweber. So these new subscribers that I hoped would be coming in would be exposed to some of my best material over a kind of a 2-month drip campaign. And I don't know if it's tough to say because you can't get analytics really on, of the people who downloaded it, how many people actually read your book. Because a lot of people will grab a free book and they may not get to it. So it's hard to say, if my, 300 plus new subscribers were, is that good? I don't know. But I was happy with the numbers. I thought, because percentage-wise, like I said, from a small list, that was a really big bump. I was happy about that. So the next stage is kind of building pre-launch buzz. And so in my conversation with Pat, she also suggested I kind of begin to tease out the project on social media and in my email newsletters, which I did, but I probably could have done a better job. I probably could have started earlier to kind of build up a little bit more anticipation. So one of the teasers I put out was kind of at the end of my email newsletters in just a PS. It's like, hey, PS, I've been working for this month on a really fun project, compiling a list of online resources by, your fellow entrepreneurs and side hustlers. In total, over 500 people contributed more than 350 unique resources, and I'm going to give it away for free for a limited time. Stay tuned on how to get your copy. And so Pat also recommended setting up a dedicated squeeze page on my site or on a special branded domain to kind of capture the hand raisers, the people who, would reply back, or the people who would reply back to those social media, teasers, kind of expressing an interest. And, I'll let you know, you'll be the first to know about the launch. And this was I did not make this a priority, but I definitely think it's a great strategy. I just didn't have the time or didn't execute that part very well. What I could have done is kind of use this pre-opted in list to kind of build an initial buzz, give pre-release copies to, try and get some initial reviews that way, get cover feedback, and really kind of make these people kind of on the inside, make them part of the process. And so that was a missed opportunity for me, I think. This is one thing that Pat Flynn talked about on his podcast with Jeff Goins, a few months ago. It was probably actually close to a year ago, on kind of the book marketing, building your pre-launch tribe. I think that was something that he did really well for Let Go, and it was something that I probably could have done better for Work Smarter. The next option, or the next step in this book process, was picking a title. And most book marketers will tell you that Amazon is just a big search engine. And even better than Google, it's a search engine with a lot of saved credit card accounts attached to it. It's really, really a valuable search engine. They'll bring up that the title of your book is the single most important factor in what may be known as Amazon SEO. So I use a tool called Merchant Words. You can check it out at merchantwords.com to estimate the search volume for certain keywords on Amazon. But unfortunately, I didn't do this until after I launched the book. Now, originally I wanted to lead with the meat of the book, the 350 online resources. And thankfully, the members of my mastermind group advised against that. Instead, they argued I should lead with the benefit. And so that kind of led to my original title, which was Work Smarter, 350 plus online resources today's top entrepreneurs use to increase productivity and grow their business. And why did I go with Work Smarter? Because that's how I feel every time I discover a new awesome resource. And so that was kind of what I wanted to convey with the title. As it turns out, this was totally by chance. There's actually a decent search volume on Amazon for that exact phrase, for Work Smarter, according to Merchant Words. They say it gets searched around 2,500 times per month. And it actually seems to be related to an Evernote keyword, because Work Smarter Evernote has 1,000 searches, and I figure people are looking for Evernote. They might definitely be interested in a book that has 350 resources alongside Evernote as well. Meanwhile, the phrase online resources, which I originally wanted to put front and center in the title, returned 0 results, so I was really happy with that selection. The next kind of keyword phrase that I was using was increased productivity, which also did well, and that had around 6,500 monthly searches. And then I started running into trouble. I knew I wanted to include the word entrepreneur, but I wasn't in love with kind of the wording at the end, which was originally grow your business, grow their business. So I had a conversation with Chandler Bolt, who's the author of The Productive Person, who's on the podcast recently. He was generous enough to offer some consultations during the middle of my launch week, and he really pressed me on the search volume for the different keywords in my title. And at that time, I didn't have any data to share with him. It was kind of embarrassing. And so that's when I started playing around with Merchant Words. And it turns out, so I got lucky on increased productivity and Work Smarter, but I made a mistake with grow your business, grow their business. It turns out that phrase gets almost no search volume, less than 100 queries a month. And so I did some playing around in Merchant Words. I found some good, some better numbers related to goals. So I changed the title midweek to increase productivity and achieve their goals. Now, originally it was Reach Goals, had a search volume of 8,000 monthly, but Achieve Goals had a monthly search volume of 12,500. So that's why I went with that. The more people who are searching for your keywords, the better chance you have to be discovered organically through Amazon. It's really, really powerful stuff. And here's just one more benefit of digital publishing, right? You can make changes to the title of your book, to the cover of your book in just a matter of hours. Really, really cool stuff. And so that was, that didn't cost anything. So that's cool. I think Merchant Words has a premium version, but I was just on their, free trial or something. Okay. Next up it was time to design a cover. And I always get really excited when it's time to design a cover for any book project, because that's generally one of the last steps before a launch. It's like, this is the home stretch, it's cover time. So I created a mock-up cover, or a concept cover, and I was going to send it off to a handful of cover artists on Fiverr to see what came back. And this is my poor man's 99 design strategies. Like, I can send this off to 5 people on Fiverr, and hey, I'm out $25, and now I've got a concept. I can either do the upsell with one of these Fiverr designers, or I can take this or kind of tweak it, or somehow I can work with this. But at this point, my wife intervened. She's a PowerPoint rock star. So she turned my ugly original cover into, the one that's up there today, or a version of the one that's up there today. And I was really, really happy with that, and very much grateful to have some in-house design talent to go with it. Didn't do any split testing, didn't ask for very many. You send it out to a couple people. Hey, which do you prefer? Choice A or choice B, and kind of went with the one that got the most votes on there. But nothing, scientific, no 99 designs or nothing like that. So very affordable, actually free in this case for the cover as well. Now, formatting for Kindle, always a little bit of a challenge, kind of a learning curve. I screwed up my very first book, the virtual assistant book, went out with all of the images, I guess, were broken or something. And so in that case, 3,000 people downloaded it, and I'm very grateful that I did not get flamed in the reviews for that, because that's something that I've definitely seen people be less than forgiving about when the formatting is messed up and the images are missing, stuff like that. But I'm getting better at Kindle formatting. It's, the learning curve is coming into effect there. So each Kindle device is essentially an HTML reader, which means you've got to convert your Word document into the web page filtered file mode. It's as easy as hitting Save As and selecting that option from the drop-down menu. As an alternative, you can outsource your Kindle formatting to someone on Fiverr, someone on Elance, or some other professional that specializes in that sort of thing. So what I did is I downloaded the Kindle Previewer desktop software. So if you just Google Kindle Previewer software, it should be the first or second result. And I ran through to make sure everything looks okay. And you've got to kind of go through each of the different versions of the Kindle hardware. They have the different emulator for each one to make sure it looks okay in each format for it. And this usually takes several iterations because you're always going to catch something that doesn't look quite right on one of the different one of the different emulators. And so that software spits back out a .mobi file, .mobi file. And that's the version that you upload to your Kindle account, your kdp.amazon.com account. And this is where I screwed up. So it turns out I skipped a crucial step in formatting for Kindle, one that makes it so Kindle can access your table of contents in kind of their home menu, and so people can navigate to different sections of your book, quickly and easily within the Kindle hardware. And especially for a book like this that it didn't have to be read linearly. Like people could jump around if they're not interested in a certain section, they could just skip to whatever section they were interested in using this kind of internal navigation. And thankfully, a reader named Naima at moonpreneur.net notified me of this along with the fix. I'm very, very grateful for her to send this over because instead of using Amazon's own software to generate the .mobi book file, I should have used this. She sent me this instructions for a software called Calibre, Calibre, a free download software. I'm not sure if it's Calibre or Calibre. So in Calibre, you set up your table of contents, and then it shows, so it shows properly in the Kindle devices, and there's some step-by-step tutorials on how to do that online. Now, unfortunately, the first 17,000 downloaders, like I said, have got a less than optimal version of the book because of this stupid mistake on mine that I honestly didn't know better. And there's probably a way to do this, in the Amazon provided Kindle generator software. I just don't know how to do it, and I was really thankful when Naima sent me the instructions on how to do it through Calibre. So that ended up being free as well. Next step was to submit the thing to Amazon. So if you don't have one already, you can set up a free author's account at kdp.amazon.com, and that's where you're going to be inputting your book details, the title, the author, the description, how to upload and that's where you're going to upload your .mobi file that you've got from Calibre. Now, the KDP site, Kindle Direct Publishing, is also where you'll input your pricing and royalty information and decide if you want to sign up for KDP Select. Now, real quick, books priced between $2.99 and $9.99 earn a 70% royalty in most cases, and books outside of that range earn a 35% royalty. So they kind of really strong arm you into saying, hey, this is how much an ebook should cost, because that's where we want to share the lion's share of the profits with you. Now, you can also, like we were talking about, KDP Select is a program that gives Amazon exclusive rights to your content for a 90-day period. And in return, you have the ability to promote your book for free for 5 days during that 90-day period. I knew I wanted to capitalize on that. And there's some other benefits of KDP Select as well, like Prime, Amazon Prime members can borrow your book for free and stuff like that. So pretty cool. I definitely recommend it for people starting out, just to reach the widest audience. Doing the free promo thing has worked for me, and I think that's a good way to go. So why would you do a free promo? Why would somebody spend all this time writing, all this time and effort writing this book only to give it away for free? It doesn't make any sense. So aside from the email capture, aside from the lead generation angle, the free promo launch is simply an attention-getting tactic. Now, the idea in this case was to drive as much traffic and interest and attention to the book in the form of downloads and reviews that kind of sticks in the chart. Amazon has no choice but to put it, ranking highly in different categories, and that it continues to make sales after your free promo ends. Now, this is the opportunity to expose your work to just a massive audience who otherwise couldn't be bothered, and maybe even you're going to recruit a few new members to your tribe. So there's obviously a time cost to produce the book and an investment upfront, and it can seem counterintuitive to give it away for free. But if you don't have a big list to immediately sell to, I think this is a great way to kind of build up some initial exposure and some initial steam for the book. One contributor asked why I was sending people to Amazon and not giving the book away for free on my own site if I was going to give it away for free anyways, but requiring an email opt-in to do that. And my reason for that was I thought people would be far less likely to share a link to somebody's email squeeze page, and that sharing component was a big component of my marketing plan. I also thought I could reach many times more readers and hopefully buyers later on Amazon, even if I didn't capture as many emails up front. So I set up the free promo to run for the maximum of 5 days, Monday through Friday of launch week, following the lead from Scott Britton, who wrote a book on 63 life hacks. Link to that in the show notes. He had a really detailed breakdown of his launch plan, and it was kind of the inspiration for a lot of stuff that I did too. So according to some Kindle publishing sites, you should know, just as a piece of trivia, Sunday has historically been a strong day for running a free promo. I think people are, hanging out on their couches looking for free books. It makes sense. But since this book was kind of aimed towards a more business to business, audience, I thought it would be better suited to start on Monday instead. Now, here's a small psychology hack or small, pricing trick that you might want to test out. So what I did is, even if my intention is to eventually sell the book at $2.99, I priced the thing at $4.99 during launch week, and the reason for that was to give it a higher perceived value. And you could even go higher than that, and it's all a psychology thing, right? Getting a free $5 thing is a better deal than getting a free $3 thing. If somebody gives you a free, hands you $1, are you that excited? If somebody hands you $5 or $10, this is exponentially more valuable. So that's one of the reasons for pricing a little bit higher during launch week, because you're going to be able to pay for free anyways, but the $4.99 price tag will show up on every page. Hey, save $5. That's fantastic. And the next step is to submit your book. See if you can wrap it up. Submit it a few days early before you plan. Say you're planning to launch on Monday. See if you can get it up on Amazon at least by Thursday, Friday of the week before. If you can get it up there even earlier, that's fantastic. The reason for that is you want to give yourself a little bit of lead time to to make any last minute changes and edits if you have any last minute proofreading, grammatical errors, stuff like that, typos. Plus, you should know it can take Amazon between 12 and 48 hours to review your book and to publish all the changes, if you do have those changes to go live. And the second reason for that, and probably the more important one, is you want to generate a few user reviews before launching to the general public. And this is the sad thing. Even when a book is free, if it has no ratings on Amazon, people are going to hesitate to download it. Hey, it's like I want some social proof that says this is worth my time. This is worth my free download, even though you have unlimited to play with. Next up, okay, we're live on Amazon. Now what? So that we've been through all of the pre-launch work, from the creation of the book, how we use Fancy Hands to build the foundation of it, how we got the cover made, and how we kind of generated the whole strategy behind the launch and everything. So next step up, now that the book is live on Amazon, my number one priority during this pre-launch time period is to generate reviews, generate some positive initial reviews. So here's what I did. And actually, I'll share what I could have done to maybe even have a bigger impact. So what I did, I sent some personal connections of mine, and some of these people had contributed to the book. And so here's an advanced copy. It's a PDF copy. Thank you for your contribution. If you have a chance, so I sent them a link directly to the review page on Amazon, explaining how I was planning to launch on Monday. If they had a minute to drop in a quick review, it would be very much appreciated. So I sent out around 30 of these emails. I was very grateful to have collected 12 reviews by Monday morning, all 4 and 5 stars. So thank you very much, guys, for your support of the launch. I think those were really, really important to have kind of in the bank before the rest of the world, so to say, saw the book and had the opportunity to download it. And you think about this, real authors, quote, real authors do this all the time, sending out dozens of advance copies to influential reviewers and members of the press, hoping to gain a favorable review. Now, here's the thing. Because these reviewers were given a copy off Amazon, they show up as unverified reviews. Now, it's actually not as bad as it sounds, because Amazon, they know they're not the only game in town, and for most of their products, you can buy things elsewhere, and they're still happy to collect those user reviews because Google loves user-generated content, and this is helpful to their customers as well. But because Amazon can't verify the purchase, they actually don't put anything by it. But what they do is when they know somebody has downloaded the book, they'll put verified purchase next to the review, and so that's. My theory is those hold a little bit more weight in the Amazon rankings because this is something. It makes sense. This is something they know. They know this reader. Or they know this reader. They don't know the person read it, but they at least know that they downloaded it, or they at least know they bought it. And so this is kind of a little bit of a debate among authors, just because Amazon wants to, like I said, remain open, because the honest feedback obviously has value. But on the flip side of this, some hateful or some spiteful reviewers or trolls could come in and trash a new book without ever having read it. And so one way to get verified reviews, if you want to go this route, it would be to buy Amazon gift cards or Amazon e-gift cards for kind of reliable people in your network in the amount of your book, and explaining, hey, I'm giving you this gift card so you can go grab my book for free. Can I count on you for an honest review? Or a review would be very much appreciated. Now, and the reason I say the gift card route is because you can also gift your book specifically to someone on Amazon, but some authors report having directly gifted book reviews removed, and so that's why the e-gift card route might be a little safer from that standpoint. Now, obviously, the risk is you have some upfront cost involved, and the recipient could turn around and use that gift card for anything on Amazon. It's not tied into just your book. So there's a little bit of risk, a little bit of financial cost upfront. And the challenging thing with soliciting reviews during your launch is that you need them now to fuel better exposure and more downloads. But in most cases, you've got to give people a chance to actually sit down and read the book first, which is, can be very frustrating. Hey, go download this book, leave a review. And they're like, well, I don't have any time to read it until next week. And you're like, oh my God, I need these reviews, kind of in place now. And so that's one reason to be a little bit proactive and get the book out there at least a few days ahead of time to start collecting some of these reviews. So that was free for me. Or if you go the gift card route, you could spend $30 or $50 on that. What you might do to save yourself some time, put it up at 99 cents, buy the gift cards, and then, collect the reviews, and then change the price back to $4.99 or $6.99 for your launch week to get that perceived value up a little bit. So now it's almost the time. So we're coming up to the launch strategy, and you're starting to appreciate how much work went into the kind of the background, the behind the scenes of this. Time for the marketing plan. As a Kindle author during a free promo, your primary goal is to get enough initial traction and downloads that your book starts to rank highly on Amazon's own internal charts. Because once you do that, their reach and scale will go far beyond anything you can muster on your own. So it's only your job is to get enough eyeballs, enough initial attention. You've got to start the fire. They're going to keep it going for you. So reaching the top 5 in your category will virtually guarantee a strong download performance. So you should focus your effort on getting that initial volume to pump up your rank. And once you're there, like I said, Amazon's going to do the work for you. People will naturally discover it through the site. I mean, it's one of the most popular sites in the world, the largest shopping site in the world, the largest store in the world. There's something really, really powerful and really, really beautiful of having your products for sale on that marketplace. So here's the tactics I use to build that initial momentum. So of course, for disclosure, I have an email list, a modest email list. It was less than 1,000 subscribers at the time of this launch, and I did email them about the book, but I didn't do it until Wednesday or Thursday. I kind of wanted to see how this would do on its own, how Monday, Tuesday would play out on its own, and started ranking really, really highly, kind of on their own marketing efforts without relying on my own my own list, my own database. So I also mentioned the podcast on I also mentioned the book launch on this podcast during the launch week, which was released Thursday morning. But like I said, the majority of my marketing efforts were focused Monday, Tuesday. Let's go through some of that. And I should also say, during the launch week, and even since then, I'm still asking everybody for reviews. Anybody who emails me, hey, would you mind dropping in an Amazon review? Very much appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so I want to tell you about my 659 email outreach campaign. And this is something that is unique to the nature of this book because it had 500 plus different contributors and 350 different companies or resources named. It really lent itself well to a massive email outreach campaign. So my efforts were broken up into those two segments, contributors and resources. The first step was gathering contact information, and I relied on a combination of fancy hands and my dedicated VA to help with this. So I spent 25 additional fancy hands tasks building out the contact info. And this, again, was in Google Docs. It was either the instruction where, hey, either find an email address or a contact us page for this person or for this company. In many cases, I went back through and used Reportive, which is a free Gmail plugin, to kind of guess/verify some common email formats for these messages. Like if we had a domain name or a company name, we would test, first name at company name, kind of the common email iterations. And what Reportive will do, if you have a match, it'll show the picture and, the social profiles of that person in the sidebar of your Gmail. And so that was a fun way to kind of guess some email addresses and get into a bunch more people's inboxes rather than kind of through the generic contact us page on on their websites. So in total, we were able to find reasonably reliable contact info for 659 different contributors and resources. This was actually not without its own challenges because Reportive actually temporarily blocked queries from my account 3 different times. They said, hey, you are making way too many calls to our database, or however it works, too many API calls within a certain time frame. Something fishy must be going on. Timeout. We'll turn you back on in a little bit, but you got to take it easy for a little bit, bud. So I spent a couple days writing individual messages to everybody I could. I queued them up to send out Monday morning, starting at 5 a.m. The tool I used to do this was another free Gmail plugin, Gmail extension called Streak. I've had Streak installed for quite a while in my account, but never knew how to use it, never really knew what it was for until a couple weeks ago when I used it for this launch, because there's a little button at the bottom of every email that says schedule for later. And you're like, oh, that's fantastic. And so I set these up to send, all stacked up to send on Monday morning. Now, to write these messages, I used my text expander for Chrome browser plugin, which has actually stopped working on Gmail Compose Windows, but it was working, thankfully, during the time for that. Just in the past couple of weeks, it stopped working in the Compose window, so I'm trying to figure out either an alternative or what's going on with that. But for each email, I'll try to add in at least a line or two of personalization. And an example would be if Reportive showed me that somebody was in San Francisco based on their LinkedIn profile or something, I would say, oh, hey, I'm nearby, I'm in the East Bay. Or if they named a tool that was one of my favorites, I would say so. I'd say, hey, thanks for recommending Schedule Once, for example. I'm a big fan as well, blah, blah, blah. By the way, you were cited as a contributor. The reason I wanted to do it this way, instead of in some sort of mail merge or mass mailing, was to hopefully avoid the spam filters and get a better response rate. But honestly, I had no idea if this was going to work or not. So it was just, it was a big gamble to spend that much time writing out these individual emails. But I think it really paid off. My subject line for contributors was I cited you as a contributor in my latest book project. And my subject line for resources was the name of the resource is featured in my new book. So Schedule Once is featured in my new book. I didn't get fancy and test different subject lines. My number one goal is to have something compelling enough to get opened coming from a complete stranger. Like it's a cold email, but I figured, hey, I cited you as a contributor in my latest book project. I would probably open that email and be like, oh, what's this book all about? What did I contribute? Who is this guy? What's going on here? So the email itself had 2 different goals. Goal number 1 was to generate downloads, because downloads obviously very, very important for boosting the Amazon rank. And the second goal was to generate social sharing. My hope was that people would be curious enough about the project to go to Amazon and download a free copy. After all, they were cited in the book. And so each download helps. And the next goal was social sharing, and I focused on Twitter because of the click-to-tweet tool. You can go check it out at clicktotweet.com. So in each message, I included text that simply said, if you think this is a cool project and want to share, here's a click-to-tweet link. Boom. And with click-to-tweet, you set up a pre-written tweet for people to share. And so mine said, check out this epic list of 350 plus online resources free today on Amazon. Now, I should note that it was free all week, but I really wanted free today on Amazon for the sake of urgency. Then I included the domain worksmarter.co. I'm going to get into that in a second. And it says, I'm one of 500 plus contributors, and then via @nloper. So that way I could see who, I could see who was tweeting it based on who tagged me, in the tweet. The idea is to make it as easy as possible for people to help spread the word, which in turn would generate more downloads. That was my theory. And I definitely think it worked because a lot of people ended up tweeting this out. Now, one missed opportunity, I think, was not including a hashtag in that tweet. If you could imagine a hashtag business, hashtag entrepreneurship, even maybe hashtag Kindle could have led to much wider discoverability, probably more sharing, and maybe even becoming a trending topic, because it really was doing well on Twitter during Monday, Tuesday of the launch week. But by Sunday evening, I had almost 400 messages ready to go out in my drafts folder with Streak, scheduled to go out in the morning. I'd never attempted anything like this. I didn't know how reliable Streak would be. I didn't know if my Gmail was going to get in trouble, if I didn't know my account was going to get shut down. And so as a small hedge, I actually set these up to go out about a minute apart from each other rather than blasting out all 400 right at 5 a.m. And then I mentioned I had 659 emails to send. I didn't get all of them scheduled by Sunday night. So I spent Monday and Tuesday also writing, the extra 200 emails. So I was a mess. I couldn't sleep on Sunday night because I was like so nervous and so excited to see what would happen on Monday morning. And I had two horrible dreams that night. This is kind of embarrassing to share. The first one, nobody downloaded it, as I'm like sleep tossing. Like I wake up and there's like, nothing, just crickets. No one's responded to any of my emails, or maybe my email thing broke or whatever it was. And the second dream, and I was devastated by that, by the way. The second dream was like amazing. I woke up with like 10,000 downloads already. It was just nuts. Everybody loved the book. It was going crazy. And so when I woke up and checked my Amazon account, I saw I like had 80 downloads or something on, at 6:30 on Monday morning. I was like kind of deflated because I had just been off this major high of, the 10,000 download dream. Excuse me. So I had nothing really to compare this launch to. But I think the email campaign was actually a huge hit. So it generated a really good response rate, 37% overall, 44% among contributors, a little bit lower amongst the resources or the companies to kind of bring down that average. But more than 200 people ended up sharing the book on Twitter and Facebook with a combined, quote unquote, social reach in the hundreds of thousands. Some really, really powerful tweets that ended up getting shared and retweeted and kind of shared around. So that cost around, I guess that component of the marketing plan cost around $65 just worth of fancy hands tasks. So you notice I mentioned the Vanity Domain, worksmarter.co, in my click-to-tweet link. So that was part of the kind of the pre-populated text that would be, if people clicked, hey, if you think this is if you think this is an interesting project and want to share, click to tweet. And I included that rather than a direct link to Amazon. So I wanted to do this for a couple of reasons. First, I thought it would look cooler. It's, a sweet brandable domain. I was really excited that it was actually available on Amazon when I went to go look, worksmarter.co. I was like, oh, this is kind of a trendy domain. I like it. And second, it would give me a way to track the clicks. Plus, actually gave me an easy to say and remember domain to mention on the podcast. Plus, if I ever wanted to mention on anybody else's podcast, or if I ever wanted to build out a companion website for the book itself, like I'd be set. So that's cool. So in my hosting cPanel, I just set up the domain to redirect to the Amazon book page. And you know what? I used my affiliate link for that. And this actually turned out to be a moneymaker. Normally, it would be unheard of for hundreds of people to share your affiliate link on Twitter, but that's exactly what happened. So since I was giving away the book for free, I actually didn't expect to make any sales from it. It was just the only way I knew how to track the click volume, because Amazon does not share their analytics with you, which is kind of annoying because you'd kind of like to test, conversion rate, how many people landed on my book sales page versus how many people bought. If I change the title or if I change the description text, what happens if I try this cover versus that cover? What happens? Like that, I mean, that would be valuable information. Unfortunately, I don't know of any way to get that. There's been some people talking about sharing different pixel tracking things or trying to do, a Bitly tracking thing, but I could never get that to work. So I was really, really surprised because the Vanity Domain, worksmarter.co, was spread so far and wide on social media. It actually generated over $100 in Amazon affiliate commission during the launch week, even though it pointed to a free book. Landing page, generated over 5,000 clicks and $108 in affiliate commission. Pretty exciting stuff. It cost $18 to register the domain, but it generated $108 in commission. So even though that cost a little bit of money up front, ended up being a net gain of $90 on that, on that tactic. In addition to your own marketing efforts, there are dozens of sites that specialize in sharing free and cheap Kindle books. And so this is a part of any launch, any podcast, any blog post, any article that talks about Kindle launch. Make sure you submit your sites to the free Kindle promo sites. Now, I don't know how effective these are because there's no way to track how many downloads came from each, but still, it doesn't take very much time. It doesn't hurt to submit your book. So I had fancy hands. Again, submit Work Smarter to a bunch of different sites. I'll link to those in the show notes. Pixel of Ink, Bargain Book Hunter, stuff like that. Author Marketing Club is one of the bigger ones. And now not all of there's dozens and dozens of these sites, and not all of these are going to be a great fit for your genre. For example, some specialize in fiction, some specialize in 50 Shades of Grey style books. Some will not accept 50 Shades of Grey style books. It just depends on each different site and their audience. So make sure you read the rules and regulations. Some of them require you to have 18 5-star reviews before you're able to submit, or some of you've got to pay, some of you've got to create an account. It just varies. So the best bet, I think, is to cast kind of a wide net and try and generate some downloads by sharing on these different sites. So it costs a couple fancy hands requests, maybe $5 worth. There's also some Fiverr sellers who promise to do this for you as well. Aside from your regular social media updates, there are a bunch of Facebook groups. So Facebook was the next component of my marketing outreach, dedicated to sharing free Kindle books. And to me, it looks like these groups are primarily filled with other authors who are kind of eager to just check the box on this marketing tactic. But when the memberships the membership numbers for these groups are in the thousands, sometimes tens of thousands. So it really can't hurt to post, right? So here, I'll link to the top 5 Kindle free books that I submitted to. I wouldn't, again, I can't track how many downloads came from these. I wouldn't depend on these types of groups to deliver you very many downloads, but it only takes a second to go, join the group, drop in your link, drop in the book's info. Now, naturally, if you're active in any Facebook group, much, much better performance from these types of groups. If people know you, if people know your material, you're going to have much better chances there, especially if your content is relevant to the topic of the group. Be sure to post it in there as well. For example, I've been a member of Pat Flynn's, Kindle author Facebook group for a couple years. It's at patsfirstbook.com if you want to check it out. So I made sure to share my launch along with a little insight on how you use fancy hands to support the book's creation and marketing plan. You're welcome to post your free book in there as long as you post some sort of lesson learned on, something you learned while writing it, or, on marketing it or something like that. Otherwise, it just kind of becomes a big pitch fest and it gets obnoxious. So be sure to add some value to the group if you're going to do that sort of thing. Now, one thing I screwed up on Facebook during my launch week was on my own personal sharing. So I posted a screenshot picture of the book as it was at number 1 on the business charts with a link to the Amazon page. But I didn't even think to adjust my privacy settings. And so my picture settings, right, since I uploaded as a picture, my settings say, hey, only friends can view my photos, even when they get shared by others. And so when this post actually ended up doing really, really well, it got a ton of likes, got a ton of shares, but it didn't have nearly the reach it could have because, and I didn't even think about this until Facebook gave me a little notice like, hey, so-and-so shared your picture, but due to your privacy settings, only the people you originally shared it with will be able to see. And so, all these people were going out of their way to do me a favor, and it didn't have nearly the effect that it could have, the kind of the network effect, the viral effect. And so that was a big, big screw up that I probably, live and learn. Nothing I can do about it now, but something that if you guys have a similar tactic, I want to, make sure you adjust the privacy setting. I think you're going to do it. I think you can adjust for, on a one-off, like per photo or something. So that would have been smart, but I didn't do it. LinkedIn was my next marketing component. So what I did was I searched LinkedIn for groups I thought might be interested in the book's material. So I searched keywords like small business, entrepreneurship, productivity, and a few others. And I was surprised to find some groups with like over 10,000 members. And these are all open groups. Anybody can join. So what I did, so anybody can join, but some will put your promo post into moderation, while others will allow you to post immediately, right away. Just, hey, join the group, post your comment. Some people will think this is spammy, but I was like, hey, I think there's actually some value in this book. I spent a month compiling all these resources from today's top entrepreneurs. It's free on Amazon, and I'm not trying to sell you anything. And so I don't know how effective this was. I don't know, how many downloads came from that, but it didn't take a ton of time, and it had I'll say nominal reach of tens of thousands of people. And not all of those people were active on LinkedIn at any given time, but pretty cool opportunity if it did work. Now, next up was Quora, which I've been experimenting with, off and on, responding to different answers or writing answers to different questions on Quora. And so I had Fancy Hands create a list of Quora questions related to online resources, internet tools, productivity apps, and some other keywords I was looking for. And so what I did, I went in and offered an answer to those questions, and I threw in a link at the bottom to the book with a note like, hey, if you're interested, I just finished a book project on this very topic, and it's free this week on Amazon if you want to go check it out. So that costs a couple bucks worth of Fancy Hands tasks. Not any huge expense there. All right, so you guys ready for the results? The free promo results. So in total, I gave away 20,215 copies of Work Smarter over the 5-day launch, which was just amazing. Just, blew away any previous launch I've done by, an order of magnitude. It was really, really something to watch those, to hit refresh and watch the numbers go up by 100, go up by 200 every time. It was so cool to see. So by the end of my email and Twitter blitz on Monday, Tuesday, so I'd cracked the top 100, free books on Amazon, fiction, nonfiction, everything. And, I added another couple dozen reviews, which was really, really cool. Very, very powerful to see the feedback and stuff for coming in. So thank you. If you've reviewed the book, thank you so much. If you haven't, still very much appreciated, because that really helps keep the momentum going. Now, the bulk of my efforts, my external efforts, I should say, were focused on Monday. But the biggest download days were actually Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I think that's because the early efforts really helped bump up the book's rank on Amazon. And as it continued to pick up more reviews and climb the ranks throughout the rest of the week, it eventually hit number 1 in business, number 2 in all nonfiction, and number 13 overall in the free Kindle store. It's just so awesome to see. Really, really cool. I was excited for it. But what about the dollars, right? Like, so giving away 20,000 copies and generating a few hundred email signups, that's fantastic, but it doesn't pay the bills, right? Like, I spent some time creating this. I spent some money, or I spent some Fancy Hands tasks, creating this. Normally that would cost people money. So where's the return on investment on this, right? So like I said, the transition from free to paid is crucial, and I was about ready to screw this up royally. So thankfully, this is something else that came out of my conversation with Chandler Bolt during the middle of the week. So he explained that every book that comes off a free promo has a 3-hour window in which it will still rank on Amazon's free charts. So if you let your promo expire naturally in the middle of the night, which is set to do, if you say, hey, I'm going to run a 5-day promo, it's going to cut off, in my case, it was going to cut off Friday at midnight. Your odds of capitalizing on that 3 hours of exposure on the free charts are not great. But if you cut it off manually in the middle of the day, a little bit of a different story. So on his recommendation, I pulled the plug around midday on Friday and changed the price to 99 cents. This was right around noon Pacific time on Friday. And I put it at 99 cents, again, at Chandler's recommendation, because you're showing up on the free charts. People are expecting a free book, but if they say, hey, this has good reviews, this is ranking well, this looks interesting, oh, it's not free anymore, but it's just 99 cents. It's a relatively small hurdle to overcome. And so I set it at 99 cents, over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and actually sold 460 copies at that price point, which, because of their royalty structure, didn't earn a ton of royalties, maybe 150, 160 bucks in royalties. And the value behind that, aside from the royalties, set the royalties aside for a second. So you're selling at 99 cents, not to generate the income from it, but to prove that people are willing to pay for this book, even if it's just 99 cents. The paid downloads and the free downloads are two completely separate, ranking algorithms. And so you need to capitalize on this initial window to prove that your book will sell. So Amazon will rank it on the paid charts now. And so another marketing tip, what I did during this time is I updated the first line of my book description to make sure people knew, hey, this is a limited time promo. So I put just 99 cents for a limited time, exclamation. And you can actually make this text bold in your KDP description by adding, the HTML B tags, the opening B and closing B tags for bold. Maybe that's too technical. I don't know, but I liked it. So this keeps your book ranking well just on the paid charts, and that was I think a successful transition. So it sold a few hundred copies once switching to paid, which was fantastic. And now it starts ranking well on the paid charts, and that's where the money is. So during week 2, here's another tactic that you can do. During week 2, I added a paperback version of the book using CreateSpace. CreateSpace I recommend for all Kindle authors. It's a print-on-demand service. It's owned by Amazon. There's a couple reasons why every book should have a paperback version. Number one, not everyone has a Kindle, and even though they've got the reader apps, and I don't have a Kindle, I just read on my iPad. But people, not everyone wants to read an ebook. And number 2, it makes your Kindle book look like a comparatively better deal. So you price your paperback version at $8.99, $9.99. Your Kindle version at $2.99 looks like an amazing deal. And Amazon puts this pretty prominently. Print list price, $9.99, and then they cross it out. And it says Kindle price, $2.99. You save 70% in bold print they put out there. So it's really, really cool. I don't expect people, when I first did this, I never expected people to buy the paperback. Hey, why would you do that when you can get the Kindle Reader app and you can get the thing for $2.99? But people buy it. Like that's the added benefit or the surprise benefit. In addition to making the Kindle book look like a sweet deal, people actually buy the paperback version, and that's another revenue channel for you. Now, going forward, my hope is that Work Smarter can be a passive income asset. It's going to help people looking to be more efficient and productive online, and as it continues to generate reviews, as it continues to generate sales, I think it has a great chance to become that passive income asset for months or years down the road. Like I said, it's closing in on $1,000 in earned income in just a couple weeks for sale. So I'm really excited to see where it goes from here. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen. Like I said, already looking forward to the revised and expanded 2015 edition. Now, as it took probably 8 or 9 hours to put the notes together for this episode, it sold another 13, 14 copies. So I'm really excited for how it goes, how it's performing. So we went through the pre-launch and all the work that went into that. The marketing plan, what you can steal and borrow from my marketing tactics, what went well, what went wrong, how I screwed up on Facebook, how I screwed up a little bit on Twitter by not having the hashtags, and how you can kind of transition your book from free into paid and generate that asset and start ranking on the paid charts. Anyways, that's episode 58. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope it's helpful. Hope you can use the same tactics to launch a Kindle book of your own. Any questions, feedback, let me know. Happy to provide any guidance or other results that I might be able to share. Head on over to the show notes at sidehustlenation.com/episode 58 and leave a comment if you like this one. And we'll go from there. Happy Friday. Have a great weekend, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to The Side Hustle Show at www.sidehustlenation.com.